Comment from the chat room from one of our guests, and they said that they read in a nutrition newsletter this week that 70% of the antibiotics produced in this country are used to treat healthy farm animals to protect them from infection from disgusting infectious habitats. That's true, actually, and that's where we're getting super bug infections in humans. It's because we're eating antibiotics.
Yeah.
You know, well,
and it's
not me, because I get mine
deteriorating our
free-range.
immune system so that we can't fight them normally.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, that's why I'm a big proponent of free-range, grass-fed, organic. Yeah, you betcha. So none of that antibiotic stuff. So thanks for that comment from the. I'm sorry, I just read another comment from the chat room. I got to stop doing that. All right, so Phil is going to talk about. I mean, you're our resident wizard. Yes, one of those.
Wizard.
I wanted to say musician, but you know that's Shauna. That's
Magician.
our guest. Magician, yeah. And you were going to have your hat,
Well,
your Harry
today
Potter
I wanted
hat.
to talk about the cone hat.
The Harry Potter hat, or
that's different than the Harry Potter. I'm going to go back into the ancient history of it.
Okay.
And they're made of natural hides in a lot of cases.
Well,
so
they would have
natural
to have been.
materials,
Yeah.
of course. No synthetics back then, obviously.
No.
The cone hat is typically it's designed for each individual per the phi ratio. Okay. The golden mean.
Yeah.
One of the ancient magical understandings.
Sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry.
I know that one.
So if you take your chin from the bottom of your chin to your third eye, call that 1.
Okay.
The cone hat is in that phi ratio of 1.1618. It's a long ratio.
Yeah.
And that cone hat sits up there and allows the energy. In fact, what it does is it captures the energy of your crown chakra.
Okay, sure, I can see that.
When you have,
because it's covering it.
When you have deep thoughts and ideas, and even in old ancient cartoons, not ancient, but older cartoons, they would have the little bubbles showing a cloud of thoughts. Okay. Well, now they've drifted those off to the side so that the cartoon would be different.
Right.
But they would depict those initially as being right over the crown chakra.
Right. Okay.
And so when you put the cone hat on, you form this energy peak with this cone of power.
Okay.
And what it does is it helps capture those thoughts and keeps the energy of your thinking processes contained somewhat in that field because of the sacred geometry matching the human body. And what happens
that was like the wand. You were just saying that the wand was
all magical,
built to your specifications.
That's right.
So yours would be different than mine.
That's right.
Probably my cone hat would be different than yours.
That's right.
I'd have bling on mine. So.
You can put bling on yours.
I can put bling on mine, yeah.
And so what happens when you capture all this energy above your crown chakra, it allows you to stay on task, to be focused, to concentrate. That's why you see pictures of the alchemists in their musings and workings. Right. They would be working with their book of shadows and documentation of what they were doing with the cone hat on. And this is all their magical practices were done with that particular cone hat because it contained and helped them stay focused. Now that knowledge was pervasive throughout Europe and most of the world where they knew about the cone hat. And
was that what it's really called? Was it really called the cone hat?
Cone hat, wizard's hat.
Okay. All right.
In schools in the older times, when children were unruly and distracted and weren't paying attention, they would put a cone hat on their head to help them focus, help them bring them back to class.
So it wasn't meant to be a humiliating
and
gesture.
It became derogatory.
Wow.
And so it's no longer used. But when children were very disruptive, they put the cone hat on them and allowed them to refocus and come back to class.
Wow, that's bastardization of something
they got
really
misused
special.
And abused and no longer used in that way. Yeah. So
and sort of morphed then even further, at least to my mind, you correct me if I'm wrong here, into the witch's hat.
It's right. they're all the same type of knowledge.
Right.
Both males, females use them. Cultures use them and adapted them for their particular traditions. The Celtic and the various Wiccans and all the different cultures had some means of identifying that power, that cone of power above their head.
And it's triangular shape too, and I'm sure that has something to do with sacred geometry.
It's around the head. Now, when I made mine, because I was using elk hide, and of course I make drums, and I had a lot of extra pieces of hide, and I made 5 of these cone hats. Because when you make them, I made them to the sacred geometry. Of course, everything shrinks down when it dries. And it shrunk down across them. I couldn't fit on my head. And so I had to adjust and make them so that the finished dried cone hat was in the sacred geometry and it fit on my head to wear.
There you go.
The other part of mine has a little bit of a tail that comes to a point in the back to bring up the energy of the Kundalini and follow through to that entire piece.
Wow.
So it's a magical environment that I put myself in for various rituals and celebrations and various teachings I do.
I can see that garbing yourself in that would set you into that special place.
It does.
And I could see what.
Of course, in a caste circle,
Sure.
where the energy is all different, as you know,
Right, yeah.
and yourself in a very sacred geometry form, with, of course, the magic wands and all the other tools. It raises the energy and it keeps it focused.
Cool.
It
exciting.
enhances magical practice.
You have to bring one so we can see it. I'm so sorry.
I will
we don't
bring
have
one next time.
Absolutely. I think that would be fun. And speaking of that, I was just reading today about your course.
Yes. I have a course in magic and metaphysics, and it teaches...
You cover absolutely everything.
I do. Because it's a long course. It's It's not something you take for 6 weeks and learn everything.
All right. So this isn't a weekend retreat.
No, it's several years, actually.
Oh, my word. Okay.
And there are steps and pieces of it that are segments, if you will. That last 6 weeks is the basic one, and I capture 6 because there's an introductory about rules of the road, a little bit about magical practices, and then earth, air, fire, water. Each of those is a week, and then there's a wrap-up class, so that would take up 6 weeks. And then we go into the energy handling and control of that knowledge of the 4 elements and spirit.
That's a big one.
It is, and so that one is, again, 6 weeks, but it's a little bit more intensive. But that's when you start getting into the actual applications and use of that knowledge with the energy. And then the 3rd class is probably going to be 8 weeks because that deals with tools. And we start working with all that knowledge, applying the earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and the energy handling and control into the tools area. And then from there, it just keeps growing and expanding on that.
Okay, wow.
It goes into many, many different areas as
I can
time
see.
goes on.
I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Vibrational energy.
Crystal
we talk about
balls
crystals.
and,
We talk about all
scrying.
Scrying.
I get a
magic
headache when I do that.
mirrors.
What am I doing wrong? I do. I get absolute migraine when I do that.
Change some of the distance.
Oh, that's probably
That's one of the
good.
things you can do. The other one is you can use a different type of materials. You can use scrying mirrors in different ways.
Right. I was taught to use coffee mug.
Coffee mugs because of the dark liquid
the dark
inside them.
liquid,
But you can also use wine. Dark
And
wine.
I'm allergic to coffee. That's probably why I got the headache.
Probably that. And I have a carved protection eye of Horus.
Oh yes, no, I always do that. I was taught well.
So I was going to say that would help also.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, this is going to be up on our website under About the Show. If you look for Magic and Mystery.
Magic, metaphysics, because it's...
Well, but no, this will be
magic
in your file.
Yes.
Right? In your folder on the website.
Right.
Sometime really soon. Like maybe tonight. We'll see. We'll see. Absolutely. And the information on how to contact you and all of that. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, super. Yeah. Wonderful.